Only the educated are free. Only the educated are free. Not me. So says our friend, the Stoic and philosopher Epictetus. And I believe him, even though they're his words. I believe him because only the educated really are free. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back. Warren here. But let's try to get in Epictetus's head and try to interrogate and dissect it a little bit and maybe come up with a few ideas of what he meant. And I came up with a few. But I mean, was he talking about only formal education? Or was he talking about the lifelong journey of seeking truth and knowledge through asking questions and interrogating things without taking them necessarily at face value? And there are some things in life that we should and can take at face value, but those critical things that affect our everyday, affect our decision making, how we raise our kids, how we interact with strangers and people at work. So there is more to it, I think, than just on its surface only the educated are free. And to some that might be fighting words because on the surface, the first thing we do as a society when we hear that is we think formal education. We think that we're not smart or intellectually inclined unless we're formally educated. And a lot of our laws and ways we do things now in terms of running countries and writing constitutions and rights for citizens are based on the reasonings and the questioning and the intellect of these Stoics, who, by the way, were not all formally educated. Most of them do simply what I'm advocating, which is to question those things that are critical, like I started out with. And I understand that everybody's freedom and agency through formal education is not the same. There's socioeconomic things to consider, culture to consider, other factors to consider. So I'm not tone deaf to the fact that the opportunities are not there for everyone. I've been fortunate, but I know of people who aren't. But outside of that, it does not negate us thinking unless we're otherwise biologically, neurologically disinclined to reason and to think. We don't need a formal education to be educated. We just need to act on why it is that we're questioning what we question when we do question it, right? Don't just question for the nostalgia and the stoicism of it. Make it actionable. Make it actionable. So yes, I'm very aware that freedom and agency for most is not the same at all. Life gets a vote. Life gets a vote. But I'm talking about getting educated through reasoning. And I'm going to talk about some four key things really that I want to focus on, why I think the whole concept of the educated, only the educated are free, holds true. And the first one is that being educated is liberating. It is liberating. It opens your mind. It opens the world to you. And this now becomes in the formal context, right? Where you can open books. And I don't have to deep dive that. We all know the nostalgia of going to the library and doing a piece of research. I mean, I still do it now, but let's be honest, we're all doing it basically digitally. But that nostalgia of opening books, which, not to sound or to oversimplify it, but by opening books, we're opening the world. So it liberates us. It liberates our minds to see things a little clearer and, oh, by the way, a little differently. Right? So being educated, and again, this is in both contexts, the formal and the day-to-day growing to be our best selves. And then number two is that it breaks barriers. It breaks barriers. It levels the playing field where those who are fortunate enough can, if they choose to, get that formal education that breaks through economic barriers, social barriers, financial barriers, that inevitable glass ceiling for everyone. And this is for everyone. I mean, we could put people in groups and labels, but everyone deserves to be liberated and to remove barriers that, be they historical, cultural, taboos, people purposefully putting obstacles in your way, those real life ambushes that you can navigate, because all ambushes can be navigated. Even a good laid L-shaped ambush can be navigated. All right? But even the ones people lay for us, we can break through those barriers just by freeing our minds, becoming more liberated and more educated. And then my favorite, critical thinking. Critical thinking. And this one I am really passionate about because it's lacking. And it's lacking not because we have forgotten how to. It's lacking because we're afraid to. We've become so indoctrinated and institutionalized in our beliefs and thinking that today if you challenge anything, you're labeled that guy or that gal or that group. And I'm not talking about violence. I am not advocating violence and fights, both the physical and the verbal. I'm talking about critical thinking through reason, the thing, the one thing, the core thing on which the United States, this country, was founded upon, right? The core thing, critical thinking, asking questions. No taxation without representation. A simple concept on which all of what we know as freedom and civil rights and a constitution was built on arguing rationally, reasonably, that particular point that sprung all of what we know as America. A simple question. Why should you tax me when I have no say? And here we have America. So the forefathers, I think, would, the proverbial, roll over in their graves if they saw some of the vitriol that is in our language today when we are allegedly reasoning and rationalizing and critical thinking. And like I said, if you critical think today and question anything at all, be prepared, as sadly as this is going to sound. In your education and in your liberating your mind, be prepared to lose friends, to be isolated by family members, or to lose them entirely. And be prepared, some of the groups that you are in, so that equates to the same friends, right? Be prepared for them to shun you, because you might question some of those beliefs that are just so endeared to them that your opening of your mind and seeing the light is offensive. So be prepared. When you start to critical think, liberate your mind and break through those barriers, be prepared to lose some friends, as sad as that sounds. It just seems like practicing our metacognition, which is that thing that makes us question why we question things. Again, the whole purpose, the whole concept of American freedom, of questioning, asking those hard questions and working together to find answers. Okay, let me digress. It is not all gone, okay? It is not all gone, but it is very much lacking in a lot of places where it should be. So I don't want to darken our conversation too much, but it's not all gone, and hopefully with me talking about it and others who do, and putting it back in the forefront that it's okay. It is okay to think again. It is okay to be liberated in terms of wanting to know why things are the way they are. That's all we're asking. Is why? Why? The question that started it all. Why are you doing this to me when I have no say? So I want say by asking why. And today, that can get you hurt. Sadly, in America, asking why can get you hurt. But I'll leave you with number 4, which is empowerment, encompassing all the other 3 we talked about. We just become more empowered. That which we seek, the clarity in the basic essentials. Walking away from belief systems necessarily and starting to ask, why isn't there another way, or can't there be another way? Why does it have to be this way, especially if this way we all agree hurts or isn't progressive in terms of for everyone? And I use progressive loosely there, but just asking questions, not arguing, not fighting, being rational human beings, just so that we can all become more educated. And again, not in the formal sense. That just gives some of us a little bit more of a ladder that we can get to that glass ceiling. Others, the struggle, as they say, is real, and you have to stay at it and with it if you truly want something out of it. And then the others of us that have embraced our ikigai and are fortunate enough to help those that are still trying to reach that enlightenment of being educated and free. I argue that we should do it. We owe our society that much. The Stoics would shake our hands, and the forefathers would sleep a little easier. All right, so only the educated are free. Contextually is true. All right, so pursue your freedoms through being liberated, breaking through barriers, critically thinking, and empowering your mind. And until then, I say thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me, and on to our next conversation. Keep thinking.